Hello, you are on the Alice Reddit Stories channel. More than 90% watch my videos without a subscription. Subscribe to the channel so we always stay in touch. Enjoy watching. Story 1. OOP's boyfriend has a billionaire family that threatened to kill her, and she wonders if she should continue the relationship. For context, I met my BF 6 months ago while traveling. His family is extremely wealthy, think billionaires, and I'm pretty sure they have some sort of mafia kind of relationship to the country they reside in. This is conjecture, but their wealth is very real. The things I've heard from him about his family are insane. Their behavior is definitely not normal. The things they do remind me of some evil family out of a novel. If it wasn't for the fact that I fell in love with my kind and caring BF, before hearing about this I would not have entered this relationship. I am planning on visiting my BF in his family's country soon, and he's told his other family members when I'd be arriving. His grandfather, a man who has been banned from 11 restaurants for how he acts, who has to have a bodyguard with him because he's angered so many people by threatening to kill them that it's created many grudges against him, who forced his own maid to have an affair with him, who threatened to shoot a government official to his face. Seems like he decided he dislikes me. These are some of the tamer anecdotes from this family. My BF told me that his grandfather threatened to put me in concrete and throw me off a cliff, but my BF wouldn't let him. This has me rethinking the entire trip, as I no longer feel safe. I told my BF and he was upset, stating this is how his grandfather jokes and he obviously wouldn't do anything to me, but I'm not sure. I don't even know why his crazy grandpa decided he dislikes me all of a sudden. My BF is normal, but he is very desensitized to the insanity of his family and doesn't understand why I'm afraid to visit him now. What do I do? Should this relationship be over? I do love my BF and he plans on moving to my country eventually, so it's not like I'll have to deal with his family a lot. But if I can't ever visit him in a place he considers home and he doesn't understand my fears, I'm not sure about the longevity of our relationship. The comments took issue with OOP not calling the grandfather forcing the maid rape, in which she says, "The reason I phrased it like that is because I don't know exactly what happened. What I do know is that his grandfather has been having relations with his maid, and if she didn't she would probably be fired. I haven't pried too deeply into it. I was horrified by that knowledge itself." Edit. I keep getting messages about this, but I would like to reiterate I am surmising from the conversation we had, as I don't really know in detail what the situation is. He offhandedly told me that his grandfather and his maid often do it, not that it's a new thing in his family, which is known for having mistresses as the norm. I was sort of shocked by that because relationships with that power dynamic seem predatory to me, so I asked him about the situation and he just said it's normally the situation his grandfather had with his maids. If it's something they go into knowing or it's something he threatens them with, I didn't ask because talking about his family makes me uncomfortable. A lot of people have an issue with my BF knowing this and still talking to his grandfather, but as I said, it's complicated and almost everyone in this family is messed up. My BF's own grandfather forced him to lose his virginity to a 30-year-old prostitute at 15 so he could be a man. I consider him a victim of his family as well. Edit. To address some comments, I decided not to go on the trip, but about breaking up with my BF. We have a great relationship and he's a great BF when he visits and even during our long-distance video calls. I need to have a long convo about his family and going no contact with them in the future because, as I've said in the comments, that side of his family is a mess. For commenters saying not to do this for the money, I'm not. I have a professional career that supports me comfortably. For people who think this isn't real, unfortunately it really is. I know how insane it sounds. That's why I'm on Reddit, because I couldn't wrap my head around it myself. Addressing the rape situation, as I said before, I think it is rape, but I don't really know the details. I didn't want to know in detail because it's frightening to even think about. Thank you to all the commenters with good advice. Update. Hi guys, Apparently my last post got deleted by this sub because you can't go over a certain karma limit from a non-throwaway account. I'll update the people who messaged me concerned and those who gave me great advice in my last post here. I had a long talk with my BF this morning about his family and canceling the trip. He was initially upset about me no longer coming to see him, as he really did want to show me the country he grew up in and spend time with me here. He didn't really intend to make me spend a lot of time with his family. Regardless, I did not feel comfortable either way spending time with people I find to be as objectively evil as them. Although my post focused on his grandfather, his actions pale in comparison to his uncle, and his mother is also insane too. He decided he would come see me instead, which is usually what we do. He clarified that his grandfather was really joking. I posted a screenshot of our text messages in another comment, but his grandfather was playfully threatening my BF with throwing me off a cliff covered in concrete as a means to get him to do something. He offered to let me talk to his grandfather, but I refused. Still, I will not be risking it, so I'm not going. A lot of commenters on my last post gave me a lot of things to think about in regards to my relationship. One commenter asked whether or not my BF being surrounded by such shitty people means that he sees having mistresses as normal, etc., and might bring that into our relationship going forward. Another one asked whether my BF, coming from such wealth, can ever truly disentangle himself from his family with that much money involved. A lot of people were outraged at my BF still having a relationship with his grandfather, despite what he has done. I brought up all this to my BF, especially how worrying it is to me that he seems so desensitized to how evil his family is, a lot of the stuff I couldn't bring up in my last post. My BF told me he holds none of the values his family has. He spent a significant part of his life with his other parents' family in another country who are actually good people, so I think that's why he ended up so normal in comparison to his relatives. He told me he would never cheat on me, that he has been thinking lately that I am the one and he would love nothing more than spend the rest of his life away from his family and with me. I asked him if that was possible, considering the financial aspect. He told me he originally had worked under the umbrella of his family's companies at one time, but could not go on because of how they had treated the poorer workers there and he didn't feel right about it. One member of his family called him soft because he actually treated the people there humanely and kindly, and that he doesn't have what it takes in the family BC of that. Now he has his own company, but it doesn't have anything to do with that side of the family. He is running the company with the help of the other side of his family, which I said before is normal. He said that he plans to sell that business eventually and move here when we decide to take that step. I asked him whether or not he would be able to go no contact with his relatives. As I said before in edits, his family also did a lot of messed up stuff to him growing up and are also disappointed in him for not being more involved in their businesses. He told me he never intended to spend the rest of his life near them, and while he thinks they are insane, he doesn't necessarily hate them. He told me he would never invite them into our lives if that's what I wanted, that there have been many family members who moved to foreign countries and live normally and they don't have anything to do with the main family. That made me feel better about the whole thing. He said that eventually he may have to return to his country briefly to deal with any inheritance his grandfather may leave him, but outside of that, going low to no contact is fine with him. I feel like this conversation was enough to keep moving forward with our relationship, unless he shows me that none of the stuff he has said here is true. This brings me to the biggest question a lot of people had: is this 6-month relationship worth being connected to that kind of family? My BF has been one of the gentlest, sweetest relationships I have ever been in. He writes me love letters often. He buys silly sentimental things even if I just mention it in passing. He plays me love songs on his instrument. He is extremely attractive and our sex life is great. I can tell there are parts of him that are messed up a bit from his environment, but the fundamental part of him I am attracted to is his kindness, not just to me, but to everyone I have seen and heard him interact with. I am not interested in my BF's family's money, I'd do well enough in my own career, and even if he was penniless, it would be very easy to support us myself. If I felt like my life was truly in danger here by just being in a relationship with him, or that he would ever retaliate against me if we ever broke up, I would feel differently and we would no longer be together. While my BF's family has their own paramilitary force in their own country, they don't really have any influence here in my country, and they don't seem interested in any part of their family that has moved away from them and live normal lives. I think I am safe, and I thank others for being worried about me. I hope that alleviates a lot of worries commenters have. I really want to thank people who have messaged and commented really good advice and questions to bring up in my relationship. This was really a crazy situation I have never been in before. I didn't really have a litmus on what's normal or how to proceed constructively, and writing this post has been extremely helpful. This is the final update I will post on this account, unless his crazy grandfather really does come for my life, but I doubt that will happen, as there are many people who he's made that threat to and still remain breathing until today. Don't forget to support my channel by subscribing, thank you. Story 2. OOP's girlfriend is kidnapped and almost forced into a marriage against her will. I, 26M, was dating this girl M, 25F. We had been dating for over a year, but she came from a very, very strict Indian family. She said she was lucky that they allowed her to work, and they would be extremely against her dating someone, that they wanted her to get married to a guy of their choice. We met at college, ended up at the same company. We had sex several times, which she said was a big no-no, so she wanted to keep it a secret, which I did. 8 months ago, out of the blue, I received a message from her. It said we were done, and she didn't want me to contact her again. We hadn't had a fight, in fact we had a romantic dinner just the night before, and yet I got this message. I called her several times, sent her texts and everything. I even planned to go to her house to talk to her, but decided against it due to her family. I even tried calling some friends of hers, but they just said she had ghosted them too. I was heartbroken, and after 2 months, I decided to get back out there, but just couldn't find someone with that same spark. I had basically given up on dating and started focusing on my career, and I recently even landed a very high-paying job. I was happy, yet lonely. 3 days ago, I got a message from one of her friends. She said M was at her place and had been there for nearly a week, and she was asking to meet me. I was hesitant and asked her if she was playing a cruel joke on me after the way we broke up, to which the friend broke down crying to my surprise and said she couldn't explain over the phone. I went there, and sure enough, M was sitting there. She looked thinner, a bit paler, and very, very sad. She saw me, started crying and hugged me, and then we sat down to talk. She said her family had seen us together, and when she went home that night she was yelled at. She lives in a big joint family, so her parents, grandmom, 3 uncles and aunts, and about 13 cousins live under the same roof. She said they took away her phone, prevented her from going to work or contacting anyone. They said they had pressured her into telling them how far our relationship had gone, and when it was revealed that she wasn't a virgin, her family went berserk. They shifted her to their rural village and arranged her marriage with a family friend who was 60 to 65, and when she tried to refuse, they threatened to kill her. She said she played along for a month, and that a week or so ago the marriage date was decided to be in September. She said she told her family she wanted to spend time with her to-be husband and managed to slip away, after which she took a train to get back here. I had shifted to a bigger house and wasn't on any social media, so she didn't know where I was and went to her friend. She stayed there for a few days, resting and crying, worried her family would find her before asking to meet me. Update: so a while ago I had made a post here asking for help because my GF was being forced to marry someone she didn't want to. This is the update to that. We got married. We married in an Arya Samaj Mandir, which is just a way of saying we got married the fastest way possible legally, got the marriage certificate and made the legal adjustments, changing details on passport, Aadhaar card, etc. She's seeing a therapist now and is mentally better, isn't that scared now? Her family did find out and did try to lodge a case that I was holding her against her will or that she had been brainwashed by me. But an affidavit thanks to Soysucks's fantastic advice disproved all that. Her brother did send me some threats and her dad actually tried to enter my house. But in the end they had no choice but to accept it and left to go to their hometown. Me and my wife blocked them on everything and we haven't had any contact from them for a while now, so we don't think they'll be a problem anymore. Now that all the legal craziness and family drama has been dealt with, we're going to start adjusting as husband and wife. We're planning a proper wedding celebration, with all our friends, who are basically our family. We'll also go on a honeymoon soon. I'm glad that things worked out as well as they could for us, and I'm going to look forward to spending the rest of my life with a fantastic woman. I'd like to specially thank some people on here before ending the update.